When choosing a property, because you are on different platforms, you first look at the photos. Then the next thing, I guess you probably look at will be the description. Think about the type of guests that are coming. Is it a Nyali? Is it a wedding? Are you guys going to Diani? There's no need of you having an event in Diani and a booking in Nyali. Doesn't make sense. Yes. We shall give you time.
Could you book a property which has no review? This person that
no. First of all, never ignore a negative review. Strictly. And what happens if they delay the checkup? There's a penalty or there's a fine or something like that. Yeah. Or can you give them a grace?
Yes. Shoot. Photos or reviews?
Reviews. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Lowest private apartments or shared spaces? What to private anytime.
Okay. Traffic light or park for every situation.
For every situation. Over back.
Just in case.
Yeah, just in case. Hello. Have you ever landed or arrived at a property and you started wondering, this isn't exactly what I signed up for? This is not the exact unit I was hoping to find. The truth is, a lot of guests make that mistake. Booking mistakes that should have been avoided by several factors that we are going to consider today. Let's talk about at least 10 mistakes that guests make when making a reservation or when booking a unit. This is Beyond the Booking episode 4, and I'm joined by Eve and Cynthia. And if you're new on this channel, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and if you've been here, like and share. All right, let's get this rolling.
Hi. We are here now.
Yeah.
We have some questions for you. And we'll start. What should guests consider when they enter the property?
What guests should consider? I think, first of all, they need to align with what they saw versus what they're expecting. Although we do have guests that are not very specific, so they will probably just look at the aesthetics of the place, the setup, the decor, whether it suits them as a family. I think for me that would be the first thing I would look as a guest. Where will my family sleep? Where are the kids sleeping? Where are the rooms? The kitchen? Do I have all the kitchen appliances that I would want to use for my entire stay? Is the place beautiful? Is it aesthetically pleasing? I think those would be the first thing that a guest would look at. Probably in between the 1 hour before and hour, 2 hours, you'd have looked at now other things. Now water, hot water, Wi-Fi. I think the first, almost among the first 5 minutes, Wi-Fi, people test the Wi-Fi. Yeah. You go into a room and you just switch on the television, so your Wi-Fi should be working. I'd probably start taking photos almost immediately. Or settle. Some people settle, put their things in their wardrobes and relax. So yeah, I think that would be the first thing guests would look at.
And when choosing the property, when choosing the property.
When choosing a property, because you are on different platforms, you first look at the photos. Okay, because on that listing or application, you go through the photos, you want to see whether it's something that speaks to you for the duration. There are people who are visiting for specific reasons. Staycation, it could be hospital, it could be an event, it could be business. So are the photos speaking your language? Do they have a study desk, for example? Do they have a dining table, a place you can work from, a place you can take photos from? Do they have a swimming pool, because that's what you're looking at? So photos are the first thing. Then the next thing I guess you probably look at would be the description. What have you said about this place? Because while the photos are there, and photos can come from anywhere, the description says it all. It is proof that you are supporting what your photos are actually saying. So you're going to say in the description, probably the place has a swimming pool, it has a sauna, there's a gym, and it's ideal for families, it's ideal for business travelers. So essentially, the description is going to back up the photos, but the photos will be the first thing. Of course, the next thing would, for me, would be now conversation or having to see if there's any further detail on that.
Yeah. Okay, on the question of photos, why should the photos be the only deciding factor?
Why should they not be the only deciding? Because photos can, like I say, they are the first things you see. They are a major deciding factor, but they should not be the only deciding factor, because photos can lie. People take photos from different angles. People take photos when it's dark. You could have, I've seen listings where the photos are even darker than usual. What does that mean? Does the place even have natural light? And if I like the place, the photos should not be the only place that push me to booking. I will go further and chat the hosts and ask them about the place. Do we have natural light when we sit at the sitting room or at the living room? Are we able to have the sunset or the sunrise from the balconies? We've had guests ask these questions because sometimes photos are not the only thing. Okay, so that is why, again, we always insist on professionally taken photos, because if you take them professionally, then high chances you've captured a lot of that, so you avoid a lot of back and forth with inquiries and guests. But they should not be the only things that make you book. The description should, the chat with the host should make you also decide on whether you're settling for that.
Yeah.
Okay. What details do guests commonly overlook?
The details that they commonly overlook. I think one, there are many things, smaller things that would probably be an assumption. For example, the cleaning times. A lot of guests have an assumption that as long as you stay there, the place has to be clean. While that is true, different hosts have different cleaning times and cleaning days. So you might have signed up for a daily cleaning, but the host that you've actually booked for only cleans after 2-3 days or upon request. So these are some of the factors that a lot of guests would probably be overlooking. Another factor is how long are you staying, and what are the amenities that should be considered when you're there. For example, power. We have guests who consider, a lot of hosts actually consider power as an expense the guests should meet because of the duration they're staying there. If you're there for 1 day, 2 days, probably that is not a cost you've been charged. But if you're going to be there for long term, again based on the arrangements that you've made, then these are costs that some hosts would give to the guests. So a lot of guests would overlook such discussions and then later on. But again, if you're a very good host, then these are things that should be clear to the guest from the word go. Okay, so that you don't have any discussions in between. From the word code, these are set up, there are things that are analyzed and they're given to guests. Yeah, I think from there it will be basic things that you can always ask. A lot of guests will probably be comfortable to ask. Make the channel of communication very clear that you can reach me on this line or chat me here and I'll be able to respond. In case you need power, gas, this is what you contact. In case you want takeouts and to order food from outside, then these are the contacts you should call. I think the rest is just conversations that you can have with your host.
Okay.
Yeah.
Coming to location, how can the location impact the whole experience?
How can location impact the whole experience?
Yeah, overall experience.
Yeah, I think location is key. Location is almost everything. Think about the type of guests that are coming to book your stay, because that will give you the answers. Think about a guest that is coming because one of their relatives has been hospitalized and they're coming to visit or ensure that taking care of them every single day that they are there. Think about that guest. Location is very important because they need to be near the hospital. Yeah. So they cannot book a unit in Kilimani and they are going to Mpisha. Just a random example. Okay, they cannot book a unit in Kilimani, for example, and they are going to Aga Khan Hospital. So location is very key based on the client that is coming or the guest that has booked your place. So it's important for them to clarify probably one of the reasons why they're in town. And that is why some of the automated messages that we've said is, what is some of the reasons? What are you coming to do? So that we can guide you properly. Okay, are you coming because there's an event, and where is the event? Is it on Gold Road? Is it on, if it's Nairobi, is it in Nyali? Is it a wedding? Is it, are you guys going to Diani? There's no need of you having an event in Diani and a booking in Nyali. Doesn't make sense. So location is very important to every guest that is booking at your place. They need to identify and know exactly where. And that is why many listings are actually put a search where you can now search. Even on our website, if you search Nairobi, they'll give you listings in Nairobi, Kisumu, Kilimani, you know, all these things, because you need to narrow down to exactly where you want to go. If you're going for a random staycation, a very nice place, do you have means of transport? What if the luxurious unit is 20 kilometers interior? What happens? Mmejipanga enough, you know, such conversations need to be had even before the guest comes. So location is 100% important. Yeah.
Okay, what tools can the guests use to verify our property's location?
The tools they can use. I think for me it would be the common tool. I never use any classy or modified tools. It will be Google and Maps. One. Common questions that guests will ask is, how far is X from your place? See, maswali tumepata wa glance wetu. They ask, how far is, and again I will use okay, let me use another example. How far is Yaya Center from your location? See, so maswali we get them.
Yes.
So what do? You have to either approximate on the map, or you tell them to approximate. If you go on Google, search, give direction on maps, give directions from your place to Yaya, it will give you approximation. 5 minutes, 2 minutes walk, 3 minutes walk, you're there. So that gives them an idea of even how much they're going to spend when they are at your place. If it's a walking distance, they will probably walk. If they want to take an Uber or transport, then they'll do that. All right. So I think for me the tools would be basic, and a lot of guests do not know how to. A lot of hosts are missing out on that because they don't want to approximate, or they don't know how to approximate, which is just basic. I feel like it's very basic, just approximate. And do not feel like you are tied up and you want to lie, because I have come across hosts that you feel like you need to lie because probably you need that booking. No, that response that you're about to give to the guests will make them have an informed decision, and they will probably book. They will probably book with you. If it's 10 minutes, it's 10 minutes. It's a nice place. Just add the fact that it's comfortable, it's nice, and you can take an Uber, or you can take any taxi or a motorbike to whatever place you want to go to, depending on what your guest wants. So maps and Google, they are all the tools that you need.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should guests compare the properties before booking?
Yeah. I think guests should compare properties. Yeah. But as they're comparing properties, they're not just comparing aesthetics or looks of the properties. They should compare what we've discussed, the distance. They should compare locations. They should compare how fast they are getting their responses from the hosts. Actually, I think that is 100% for me. Like in terms of if I'm getting a faster response from host Y than host Z, I would probably want to lean towards that because it tells me the kind of person I'm going to find on the ground. And if I don't like their house, then it tells me that that's the kind of person that is going to be responding and actioning based on how they're responding. So it's very important that you compare. Yeah. Everybody deserves some sort of comparison. Yeah.
What are the red flag the guests make, that them think twice
about booking?
Yes, please.
Red flags. That the host will make or that the guest will make? The guests. I think the red flags that they will avoid, they will overlook.
Yes.
And then they make mistakes as a result of booking. Okay. So for me, I would look at that as a red flag number one is jumbled down photos. That's a red flag. Because if you have jumbled down photos, how clear am I about where I am going to stay? Red flag number two, underestimating the distance because of the what you talk about. The photos are so nice and so good, yeah. But you've underestimated where you will be operating from or to. Okay. And again, the same classic example, that I'm giving. You'll be operating to Aga Khan every single day. Lakini wewe umevutiwa na nyumba za Kinga Ruma Homes Kilimani. You're looking that. So you've underestimated that. So you should have probably chatted the host and asked about the distance and probably informed them of the reason why you are going to Nairobi or you're coming to Kenya. Okay? Because just you don't have to be accurate and give your personal details. Just explaining that I will be operating here or I will be going for an event here. So that makes you make an info. That's a red flag. Okay, that they make and they fall into trap very easily. Another one is you're not getting any response from your hosts. That is a red flag. Because assuming that I'm booking a unit in Kampala, okay, Uganda, and I'm not getting any response from my host. I've never been to Kampala. It's my first time. There's an event we are going to. Where am I going to? How am I supposed to navigate to Kampala if I don't even know where I'm landing in the first place? So those are red flags that a lot of people overlook. So you need to have a channel of communication fast. And that is why there's a small window for cancellation. There's what we call cancellation window. In this sense, if I book the unit and it ticks every box that I'm looking for, location, everything, pricing, so I've booked, I have a window where you are supposed to respond to me as a host very fast. Probably get your contact details. Within that window, if I don't get any response, I can cancel. And I think that is the part that a lot of hosts need to automate. Because you might not be online, but you can automate these responses, and it shows that you care and you understand your line of work. Yeah. So that is how they will support. Have I answered it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, how many reviews should a guest read before booking?
Mumeamua kwenda hiyo. At least 2, 3.
Okay.
Yeah, those should be enough. Or you can read all of them. It doesn't harm you because that way you have points of clarification. So, because if you get one bad review, one 3-star review, why was the review like that? What was that person complaining about? So you can ask about it. It could be Wi-Fi. So you can easily chat the host and ask them, is the Wi-Fi okay now? Because I read from the review that there was a slow Wi-Fi. Because what people need to remember, hosts are human beings.
Yeah.
And guests are human beings. Both ways work. Like, these are people you can talk to and they will understand. Okay?
Yeah.
So I have gotten very good clients who look at the reviews and they go like, I saw some complaints about some common amenities here. They are not available on certain days of the week. So they just need to know what was the complaint about and has that been sorted, or what can he do? How do I navigate myself? Actually, labda hakuji kutumia hizo amenities. But anataka kujua how did you respond to that? Yes, if it's not available, swimming pool is not available on Saturday and Sunday, then what happens? So you give them that discussion, that option to open up and say, okay, so basi I can either, is there another place close by that I can go for swimming? Yes. So it's just a matter of how you respond. So for me, I would say it's open. You can read 1 or 2. The people don't even read at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there are people who read all the reviews. So that it gives them an informed decision.
So how can guests know that the reviews are genuine?
Based on the platform.
Okay.
I think based on the platform, the reviews will most probably be genuine. I've not seen reviews that are... You can always find out charts and just reason out and try and see what's working. But based on the platform you're looking from, the fact that you've trusted that platform to book from that platform, you can also trust the reviews. I think that one for me cuts across. Yeah. Okay. Yes. We shall give you time.
Could you book a property which has no review? Like this person is like, no.
For me, no.
Okay, please elaborate.
But some guests book a property with no review because you have reviews for other units, other houses. I'll explain. I'm a host. I have 5 units. 4 units are older units that were furnished 3 years ago. But this other unit I have just furnished 1 month ago. I have no review. Would you book a unit with me? Would you book that unit?
Yeah.
You would. Because you will go to all those other 4 listings that I have and read their reviews and check that this is someone who has been on the platform for 5 years, 10 years and has other units that have other reviews. So I do not have to have a review for that specific unit. It means you have already built some trust in the market. Okay? Then you can narrow down. Now, would you, if I go back to that question as a guest, would you book that unit that has 0 reviews? Again, it goes to the second option. My first answer is no. But if you have other listings, I would probably consider. However, there's this other guest that still likes your unit, but hauna review. So atafanya nini? Narrow down, atakuchat, go back to that chat. If you're sounding genuine, if you're sounding like you know what you're doing, the limit is new, you just recently opened it, you've been getting offline customers, you've not gotten an online customer, explain yourself. A guest is a human being. A host is a I always keep saying those words. Need to come away. So it's just a matter of how you're explaining yourself. And they revoke. Remember, they have a window for cancellation. They can always get to the ground, and if they find things are not, and that's why cancellation policies should work both ways, protect the horse and protect the case. If they find what is on the ground is not what they expected, then they can cancel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should guests ignore one or two negative reviews?
Ignore? I think the response is not ignoring, but they can choose to overlook.
Okay.
Not completely, overlook. Because one, what works for you might not work for me. You're interested in, you gave a bad review based on Wi-Fi. Maybe I'm not there for Wi-Fi. Maybe I'm there briefly because I've been stepping out all the time. So I don't care about the Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Maybe your bad review is based on location, which is perfect for me. It was not perfect for you at that time. So some guests can choose to overlook a review. But again, the best way is just communicating and just finding out whether the response from the host makes sense. Yeah.
So how important is recent reviews?
Very important. Recent reviews are very important because it actually narrows down your decision making. It makes your decision making way faster, because if it's a recent review, that means the place is actually ideal or not ideal. Yeah. Again, if it is a very old review 1 year ago, you just ask if the situation has changed or is the same. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So a recent review is very important.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So this review ever got and they felt very satisfied, and why?
And why? Okay. Well, I've gotten very nice ones. Very, very nice ones. But the most catchy ones for me are always the ones that talk about the person, the personality. And I've gotten that a lot. And is very responsive. Is quick to, what's our response rate on Airbnb?
5-star.
5-star, what's our response rate? 100%.
100%.
Which means we do not hesitate even 1 second to respond to a client. And if he is there, even today when we're seated here, we have automated our responses. So system it and GB. So I think some of the best reviews I have received are personal, and is very quick to respond to mitigate issues very fast too, and that is why we are always trying to say, client amesema hivi, peleka maji, peleka, because that for us that is it's a personal touch that you're giving to your guests. It's not even about the house, the aesthetics, the looks. Hizo zinakujanga baadaye. The ideal get review would be about how you made them feel. Remember what we talked about in our past episode. It is the experience that you will remember. It is not how the house looks like. You will remember things. How did that place make you feel? So for me, those are the authentic reviews that I have received over the years. Anne was responsive. Anne was able to sort these issues. We asked for Wi-Fi details. They were saved very fast. We ordered for this. She was quick to give us references, because that is now an experience you've been doing for them.
Okay, on the however side, we also have bad reviews.
Yeah.
And as you said, hosts are human beings also. Yes. What if you're being reviewed
Negatively?
How do you go about it?
You respond. First of all, never ignore a negative review. As much as there's always the customer is always right, sometimes I don't agree with that aspect of the customer is always right. But there's a way you can respond that will make your future guests build some form of trust. Okay, so every response has to be responded to. So if it was something beyond me, how did I go about it? If it was something in regards to management, how did they go about it? If the pool was not accessible on a Friday, how do we go about it? Have I upgraded? Have I noted down on my listings that the pool is now not available? If there's an extra charge for AC, this applies to guys or mostly Nyali clients and Diandi clients. Did you indicate on the listing that now we charge separately for AC usage? So these are some of the conversations that you can bring down. So a bad review is not 100% bad. You can say that, so you can respond, acknowledge their feedback, and then what have you done to give us a solution, or what have you done to mitigate that? Yeah.
Okay. Can guests identify true value?
Can guests identify true value?
Yeah.
Yeah. Based on experience and their entire say at your place, they can identify whether it's a true value of what you are offering.
Okay.
And it's not about the price. Again, it's more about the experience. Experience could be, it's very ideal, walking distance to hospital. And I'll keep on saying this hospital because we have a unit of Parklands, and you've seen, yeah?
Yes.
And the kind of clients that come there are clients who are very specific. Anaenda kuona mgonjwa, ni yeye na familia yake wako because of this patient that is having a surgery at Aga Khan. So it has to be a walking distance or a place they can take 2 minutes Uber, 3 minutes Uber, and they're there. Okay? That tells you value, that gives them value for their money. Whether you're going to charge them 15,000 per night, 18,000 per night, the fact that it is convenient for their patient at that particular day and time is enough value for them. So just identify value based on whether you have responded to their experiences, whether you've given them exactly what they wanted. Yes. Again, there's someone else whose value is in the aesthetics. That is why when they book, they ask, uko na sauna?
Yeah.
Kuna swimming pool, kuna gym, because that is what they want at that particular time. Kama hiyo building haina hizo vitu, wachana nayo. So value will differ with the different case.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which amenities justify paying more?
The amenities that justify paying more.
Yeah.
First of all, size of the unit justifies paying more.
Okay.
It's not about the amenity. Size of the unit, and then if we narrow it down now, size of the unit is number one.
Okay.
And then you go down to how you have set up your unit. So the investment you have done onto your unit. The third one is shockingly now the amenities. A lot of people think, hey, building iko na sauna na Simbad tuna charge 15,000 per night. No. Size of the unit, investment you have put up. I can't come into your unit because I saw you guys have a sauna or a swimming pool, but your place is set up like you're about to shift. Yeah? You've seen those places.
Yeah.
Nakaa ni kama unahawa, ni kama yani uko sure na hii place. Umeweka tu vitu, hakuna quality, hakuna kitu umeconsider. Yes, the place has a sauna and a simba. That for me will not be value. Value will come from one, the size of the unit, and then now the investments that you've set up, and then now the amenities now. So I feel like there's a chain.
Okay.
Yeah.
What didn't cost the clients before booking? Even has such a thing called hidden costs.
Costs, yes, we do have hidden costs. But they should not be hidden, they should be discussed. Even before or after the guest books, depending on what time you're having a conversation with you. Yes. One, power. If you're a long-term client, are you paying for power? Or are we paying for power? Are you paying for your personal utilities? Or are we giving you full personal utilities, all of them? Are you paying for drinking water, for example? Or should we buy you drinking water? Do you want cleaning services every single day? Or are you comfortable with paying that? Or would you like cleaning services 2 to 3 times a week? And who's catering for that? These things have to be clear from the word go. They are not hidden costs. I don't think they should be called hidden costs. They are just costs of your stay. And if you come out clearly, then probably there are things that you'll avoid a lot of conflict even thereafter. Transfer, airport transfer. Yes, a lot of guests ask about that before they book. Can you pick me from the airport? Are you able to pick you for airport transfer? Yes, you could be offering airport transfers, but maybe at a cost. Okay, or maybe it's inclusive in your packages, because you could also just put it inclusive of your packages that you pick your guests from the airport or from the train station, and many other. If I order for food, the people don't know. It's the same discussion we were having about some guests assuming that when they book a unit, they've booked it for 24 hours. Yeah. So those are some of the discussions you need to have prior. So they give them your check-in time period and your check-out time strictly. And what happens if they delay the check-out? There's a penalty or there's a fine or something like that.
Yeah.
Or can you give them a grace period for checking out? So be very clear. There's don't have any assumptions.
Okay.
Yeah. Like an allocation, what do you say? Can allocation determine a client's budget?
Yeah.
Or okay, please.
Yeah. I think allocation can determine. No, your budget can determine your case. The other way around. Yeah. It is the other way around. Your budget can determine your location. And your size of the unit. Your budget can determine your location and your size of the unit. Or the size of the unit you want can also determine your budget. Vice versa. Yeah. So if you're looking at, if you're a single person, you're solo traveler, you're just moving along, probably need a studio unit, your budget will determine where you stay. If you're working with 3,500 per night, then automatically, which areas are we looking at? So we are looking at Mombasa Road. If you're in Nairobi, you're looking at Mamori. If you're in Mombasa, okay? But if you increase your budgets a little bit to maybe 5,000, then now you're landing in Kilimani, you're landing in Parklands. So those conversations can be had. And if you increase a little bit for a 1 bedroom at 7,000, you're landing in Westlands. Okay? So those decisions, those prices also make you decide, because again, you also can't move. Your reason should be like your priority. Your reason and exactly where you're going should also be your priority. So you'll make an informed decision on whether you are increasing your budget or decreasing it. Bring it down. Okay? Iwezi kuwa utaenda kufanya kazi airport. Alafu sasa tunaanza kupatia options za patterns. Sibele? So I think number 1 ni leo kwanza unaenda wapi? Yeah.
Okay. Are you ready for some rapid fire?
Yeah, okay. Yes. Shoot.
Photos or reviews?
Reviews. Yeah.
Okay. Lowest price or best review? Or best value? Sorry.
Lowest price or best value? Best value.
Best value. Instant book or message echoes first?
As a host, today we're talking about guests.
Yeah.
As a host, instant booking. Of course, sometimes we don't want to engage in conversations, but as a guest, probably message the host first. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Book months in advance or last minute?
Can I be honest? I'm looking at this. I'm very biased because I'm leaning towards me as a host. So as a host, last minute, I for some reason we have come to a place. I have come to a place as a host where I don't appreciate months in advance, because they tend to block my calendar and the prices are lower. It gives me predictability of future income, but the prices are lower and it blocks my calendar from potential high income now.
Oh, yes.
You get the flow. But it's better for hosts, for guests, because a guest will want to pay less because they're paying in advance.
Oh, that is I'm also learning.
Yes. So ukiwa host unacheza kama wewe. Because there's a way you can choose to play around it.
City center or closer to your activities?
Closer to your activity.
A new listing or an experienced host?
An experienced host. A new listing or an experienced host.
Stay longer for a discount or pay more for flexibility?
I think pay more for flexibility, because you cannot force a guest to stay longer. If I'm only there for 2 nights, then I'm probably just there for 2 nights. I can't stay for long even if you offer me more days. Unless it's a compensation. We've compensated guests maybe because of one fault or another, and we told them to come. When they book next, we offer them 1 day free or 2 days free.
Private apartment or shared spaces?
Private apartments or shared spaces? What to private anytime.
Luxury style once or budget stays more often?
Luxury stars once
or budget stays
more often. Okay, luxury anytime. But again, maybe depends on the reason why you are there. So naona sasa kila kitu iko na factors. If you're there for something that is eating into your expenses, maybe it's a school thing, maybe it's you're there on a small budget. Maybe again, going back to that same story, I mean, to hospitality. Already you're on excess, so budget says it makes sense. But then now, if I'm out for luxury, once in twice or thrice in a year, then I want maximum luxury. Yeah.
Plan everything before arrival or figure it out later?
I think that depends on personality. Plan everything or figure it out later. I would go for plan everything. Then, but then now a lot of factors will come into play. I'm also into spontaneity. I could plan everything Again, maybe depending on who I'm traveling with. If you have kids and everything, then you want to plan.
Yeah.
But the spirit of spontaneity is just, what is it called?
I don't say it.
Yes, it's icing on the cake.
Yeah.
Yes, because you could be missing out and yet the host has recommended a place you had no idea. It's not on your plan. Then amekwambia place mukienda. This one will make your entire stay a 10 over 10. So spontaneity is good.
Okay, book based on location or interior design. Location.
Yeah.
Okay. Traffic light or park for every situation.
For every situation. Over back.
Just in case.
Yeah, just in case. There is always just in case. Weather issues, swimming issues, shoes, ladies, just overpack.
Yeah.
Just overpack.
Okay. Leave a review every time or only when it's necessary.
Leave a review every time.
Or when necessary.
All the time.
All the time.
All the time.
Okay. Contact the host immediately if there is an issue or wait until checkout.
No, contact the host. Oh my God, contact the host. And I'm speaking that from a host perspective. Yeah, instead of waiting until checkout and then giving the host a very nasty review,
Yeah.
you could easily mitigate, have a conversation, talk about it.
Okay.
And also from the guest perspective, check on your guests before even they check out. Yeah, talk to them, tell them, apologize if there's something that you overlooked.
That's true.
Yeah, and then now you avoid a 4-star, you get a 5-star.
Okay.
Yeah.
We are still here.
We are still here. We are doing well.
Will you still report a small problem or ignore it?
Would I report a small problem or ignore it? Personality-wise, I would ignore. But I think as a guest, it can come. It's important that it can come in as a review. Yeah?
Okay.
Yeah. A personal review before it gets to a review. It's a tip, and we get that a lot from guests. They tell us, I'm thinking you can be recommending, I'm thinking you can be sending a cleaner daily even if you're going to inform more. I'm thinking they always give these tips. As a tip, please move your couch, place it like this, so that someone can be able to access something. So as a tip, they give a lot of reviews. As a tip, maybe add a blender in your kitchen. It will make the guests feel comfortable and everything. So yeah, I think it's something that we can definitely look at. And I think that comes to the end of our session. Isn't it? Have you done well? All right. If you have learned something from this session, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell if you're new on this channel. And if you've been here for a while, we are very grateful. Like and share. Now, this session was about the mistakes that guests make before booking and how they can mitigate them. Tell us on those comment section, what have you learned and what are some of the mistakes that you have made while making bookings or reservations? Anywhere you've gone to, tell us on the comment section some of the mistakes that you've made. And then we'll be here to read them all. Cheers. See you next time on the next episode. Bye.
Bye.